Yeah, morning everyone. So myself, I am Vijay. I hold 7+ years of experience, which includes 7+ years of experience in Python environment. So my experience includes design, development, and implementation of Python and Django-based applications. Well versed in implementing different Python libraries like NumPy, CP, Pandas, PyTables, Matplotlib, URLlib, etc. Experience in implementing large-scale business critical systems using object-oriented design and programming concepts, and developing varieties of web applications implementing MVT architecture using server-side applications, right? Yes. So before I start, can anyone please confirm whether my voice is clear, whether my screen is visible or not, right?
Yes, Vijay, we are able to hear.
And thank you. Yeah, as part of today's demo, just I'm going to cover the following topics. So I'll be giving a time for your general queries at the end of the session. Just observe this. Why Python? These are the topics. Why Python? Who can learn Python? And what are the prerequisites and how Python was built? Python real-time applications, Python usage, Python features comparison with other programming, and reasons why Python is suddenly super popular, right? And Python scope and job market. See, Python is not a kind of technology which is very recently introduced, right? It was introduced in the year 1989, almost 30 years back. Why all of a sudden Python has got a boom, right? Why Python is suddenly super popular? What makes Python suddenly super popular, right? Before we go, oh, why Python? What is Python, right? So I can define Python in 5 lines. It's a general purpose programming language. Multi-programming features are included. High-level language, interpretation language, user-friendly programming language. Okay. General purpose programming language means any kind of applications we can develop using Python. See, before Python, we have got some languages, right? Like there were some languages like Pascal, Fortran, COBOL. So these languages are used for a specific purposes. These are called purpose-based languages. They're used for specific purposes like Pascal for developing scientific application, Fortran for complicated mathematical applications, COBOL for business applications. Means they are used for a specific purpose. They are purpose-based languages. But a language which is suitable for developing any type of application, such a language we call as general purpose programming language. So Python is such a kind where we can develop any kind of applications like automation applications, web applications, animation applications, gaming applications, networking applications, desktop applications, embedded applications. In this way, wide varieties of applications can be developed. It is not purpose-based language. It is not for using for specific purpose. It is general purpose programming language. Today, if you talk like Python is the mostly chosen programming language in the industry, where it is used even in the implementation of various high-end technologies in the various domains. Like if you talk like data science, the implementation, everything goes in Python, right? Python, data science with Python, big data with Python means Spark with Python, PySpark we say. And for writing automation scripts, right, even in AWS, DevOps, in IoT, in robotics, right? Web applications creations with Python, right? So the usage of Python has increased a lot, especially from the last 3 to 4 years, right? The usage of Python has increased a lot. So it's widely used programming in the industry today. And multi-programming features. We see multi-programming features. We see what all the features we see in different other programming languages. All the features we can see within this Python. So it has taken the features from multiple programming languages. That's the reason we call Python as a hybrid language. High level language. Python is a high level language. Generally, we see like two types of languages, right? Two types of languages. High level language. Low level language and high level language. Low level languages, generally if we talk like low level languages like assembly level language, assembly level languages, these are low level languages. They are not human understandable. They are not human understandable. They are not portable. Machine dependent means they cannot run on all the hardware and all the operating systems, right? They are human. They are not human understandable. They are not portable. They are machine dependent. They cannot run on all the hardware and all the operating systems. High level language like Python, right? High level language like Python. They are human understandable, they are portable and machine independent. They can run on all the hardwares and all the operating systems, right? So machine human understandable, they are portable and machine independent. They can run on all the hardwares and all the operating systems, right? Yes. Okay. So low level and high level languages. Yeah. And interpretation language. Python is an interpretation language, line by line execution we are going to observe, right? If you observe like there are two types of languages mainly, like compilation languages, compilation and interpretation. Compilation and interpretation. See, compilation means it executes the entire code. If you've got some 20 lines of code, right? It executes all the 20 lines of code at once, and it gives, if there are any errors, it will display the errors in all the statements. In the 20 statements, how many errors occurred, it will display the errors, right? If there are any errors. In the case of interpretation, line by line execution, you are going to observe. Python is interpretation, line by line execution we are going to see. If you get error in the second line, for example, in the second line, if you got error, it won't execute the remaining statements. Abnormal termination, right? So Python is a interpretation language. It's a cross-platform language which can run on any platform like Windows, Linux, and Mac OS, right? So discuss about Linux, right? No need of any installation of Python within the Linux environment. automatically we see like Python comes as a inbuilt within this Linux operating system. Whatever flavor you are using, Red Hat Linux or CentOS or Ubuntu, Python comes as a inbuilt within this Linux operating system, right? User-friendly programming or programmer-friendly programming language which provides simple and easy syntaxes which looks like normal English statements. The statements of Python looks like normal English statements. So later I'll just take a task and I'll try to implement in multiple languages and you can check how this Python statement looks as compared with other programming. Coding wise you can check, length wise you can check, complexity wise you can check how simple this Python statement looks as compared with other programming. And who can learn Python? There is no prerequisites for learning Python. Means we need to have certain programming language to get updated with Python, like C or Java. No. So the Python syntax is little different as compared with other programming. So we'll be discussing all the syntaxes from the scratch ground level to the advanced application oriented way. So there is no prerequisite. Anybody can update with Python. How Python was built, and how it was derived. So Python was derived by taking the features from multiple programming languages, right? Okay. Python has taken the features. Python has taken the features from procedural oriented programming, right? Procedural oriented programming, like C language. Yes, it has taken, and the Python has got the features of object oriented programming. Object oriented programming like C++. So Python was introduced before Java itself, right? Object oriented programming like C++. Scripting languages like shell script, Linux shell script. And modular programming like Modular 3. So as part of the course, we'll be discussing these things, right? Procedural oriented programming, object oriented programming with Python, scripting, modular programming, right? Yes. Object oriented programming, C++, even Java also has got this. Java is pure object oriented programming. So the Java developers or programmers are strictly restricted to use only object oriented programming features. But in Python, with object oriented, without object oriented, with procedural oriented, with modular programming, we can develop many varieties of applications. So here we can write many automation scripts, many automation. If you talk about like two major programming languages today in the industry, right? Yes. Two major programming languages like Java and Python. Both are used for application development, enterprise application development. But if I talk, Python has got wide varieties of applications development, right? Java is restricted to some, right? But if you talk about Java, it is very less used in case of data science applications. In data science, Java is never preferred. writing automation scripts like in AWS, DevOps, IoT, in robotics. Java is very less preferred, right? And also that programmers or developers are attracted towards the very less coding kind of programming languages like Python. Simple and easy syntaxes we have got, right? Okay. And Python has got a great boom today because of this modular programming features. Modular programming like Modular 3. The concept of modules we are going to observe here, modules. So Python provides modules for every environment, right? Python providing modules for every environment. Whatever domain you are from, Python is providing a module. For example, 89,300 inbuilt modules Python providing for different environments, right? So modules. So if you're from data science background, right? For data science, Python providing separate modules to work with, right? Like NumPy model, Pandas model, CP model, scikit-learn, right? In this way, multiple models for data science, for big data. Separate modules Python provides, right? For even for big data environment, right? Separate modules. Even for networking. For networking also, Python provides separate model, especially for networking. A separate framework itself, Python is providing, right? Like Twisted Python. Then what separate. And for operating systems, OS kinds of activities like creating directory, removing directory, everything to perform through Python, right? So the name of the module itself is OS module. And if you're from database background, right? Python provides module for each and every database. If you want Python to be connected with any database, right? So we require a module, right? It's very simple and easy to connect with database using Python as compared with other programming language. It's not as complex. So for example, for Oracle database, Python is providing a module like cx underscore Oracle, right? Cx underscore Oracle, O in uppercase. We require this module to connect. For example, for MySQL, like database like MySQL, like PyMySQL or MySQL.connector, PyMySQL is the module to which you can connect with it. And for SQL Server, we require a module like PyODBC. So in this way, for every database, Python providing a module using which we can connect with the database. And for working with different types of files, for Excel files, for creating Excel workbook, for creating Excel file or Excel workbook, right? We have got separate module like Excel SX Writer, Excel RD module. Right? So just by writing Python statements and executing the Python statements, you can just after execution, you can go and check at whatever path you have specified with whatever name you have provided. A Excel file, Excel workbook will be created at that location. And you can, by writing Python statement itself, I can insert data into that. For example, to the second, for example, you can create multiple Excel sheets. Into the second sheet I want to write, from the third sheet I want to read. So everything you can perform through Python statements itself, right? And not only like Excel files, any kind of file formats like XML files, if you want to create them, if you want to read them, CSV, comma separated values files, and JSON, JavaScript object notation files, any kind of file, PDF files we can create using Python. By writing Python statements, it gets created autom, and we can read data from PDF, we can write data into PDF files. And for mathematical kinds of operations, Python providing math module. And for generating graphs, different types of graphs, right? It's very simple generating graphs using Python. like normal graph, histogram, scatter plot, stack plots, pie graph, right? Any kind of graph you can generate in an easier manner using these modules like matplotlib plottings and visualizations, right? Okay. So in this way, just I've given some of the examples, not only for the computer applications, even for electronics or civil side, right? For embedded applications or for computer aided designing 3D CAD, right? So Python has got modules, okay, 89,300 modules. Like it's not compulsory to have knowledge on all these modules. Depending upon your domain, right? You are just going to explore the domain specific modules. If you're for using Python for data science, so the Python providing some models related to data science, only those will be exploring. If you're from database background, only the particular database related models you will be exploring, right? In the same way, if you're from networking related models will be explored. It's not, but for all this you need to have the knowledge of Python, how to work with module, how to use them, how to import it, normal import from import, different ways of importing it, renaming it, reloading it, and how to create our own modules if it doesn't have that particular functionality available without any of the module. So how to create our own modules. Okay. Python real-time applications. What kind of applications we can develop today by using Python? Python real-time applications. What kind of applications can be getting developed by using Python today? Python mostly used for developing what kind of applications? Okay, one by one, I'll just brief you about, right? Python mostly used today in creation of web applications. So Python, like previously we have got Java, .NET, PHP, all this they are used for creation of web applications. But today, at a rapid speed, using Python, we can develop a web application. It's providing frameworks, right? Like the Django framework, like Flask framework, right? The rapid speed, we can develop a web application. It's where it is has got many flexible features, everything taken care by the framework itself. And apart from it, Python are mostly used in creation of automation applications. Mostly used in creation of automation applications, right? Using technologies like data science, using technologies like IoT and DevOps, right? So here, if you talk about IoT, right, Internet of Things. So today, if you talk about everything through internet, right, everything through online, everything like online shopping, online exams, online banking, online education, e-learning, online business, e-commerce, online communications like audio, video, chatting, online gaming, online healthcare, right? So everything through online, right? Fine. So IoT is a physical network or device embedded with electronics, software, and sensors, and also like network connectivity for collecting data, exchanging data, and controlling the things from the place where you are, right? Yes. So you should have seen like smartphones, smart TVs, but you are going to see like smart homes and smart cities in the coming days. So everything getting automated. So a lot of automation applications getting developed using this IoT. So the 90% of the coding goes in Python. And for data science also, everything deals with the data. Data has got experience using data or data science we perform data analysis, data predictions, data classifications, data clustering, data recommendations, right? It's a blend of techniques. Data science is a blend of technique. The main technique what we see here is like machine learning, right? Machine learning. So where exactly Python can be used here, right? So without entering into the technicals of this machine learning. So here machine learning, it is an approach where we are going to provide some data patterns to an application, right? You are going to provide some data patterns. Based on the data patterns provided, the application need to predict in the automated fashion. So machine learning is an approach where we provide data patterns to an application and making the application to predict in the automated fashion. For example, a bank has provided loans to 1,000 customers. Out of these 1,000 customers, 600 paying the loans regularly, 400 they are not paying the loans, right? So based on this data available, previous data available, the application need to predict, right? And tomorrow if 100 new customers come in, to whom to approve, to whom to reject. So based on this current data, 600 people who are paying the loans, they have got some common features. I'm grouping them as X features, means their age, their income, their financial status, their job details, everything, right? I'm grouping them as X features. Who are not paying, I'm grouping them as Y features. Y features, right? Yes. So this using this X and Y features, right? And just I'm going to provide that patterns to this application X and Y, based on which the application need to predict like tomorrow 100 new customers. Out of this 100, 30 has got X features, 70 has got Y features. Means the X features, they can pay the loans, Y, they cannot pay the loans. Approve the loans for this 30, reject the loans for this 70. Who is performing this? Application. How application performing it? Got to train, right? By providing the patterns. Who trains this application? The person who trains this application by providing the data patterns, right? We call him like data scientist. So this is not part of our discussion, right? So we have got many ML techniques, machine learning techniques, right? We have got many machine learning techniques like regression techniques, classification techniques, clustering techniques, recommendation techniques, pattern matching techniques, right? For all these techniques to implement, you require a language. For implementing or to code, right, we require a language. So Python is the mostly chosen or mostly used to programming for this data science or machine learning environment, right? Even in this DevOps also, even within this DevOps environment also, Python is mostly preferred. So in DevOps, for example, it offers a structural solution, right, in automation of tasks in each of the stages of DevOps lifecycle. So I can say like Python is one of the best scripting languages with vast varieties of libraries, Python libraries, which is allowing to write scripts for improved development lifecycle within this DevOps, right? Apart from this, where Python can be preferred even within this big data environment, right? Where exactly this Python can be used within this big data environment. Just I'll take 1 or 2 minutes here, like within the big data environment. If you talk like today, if we are seeing like huge data, means how the data is getting stored, KBs of data, MBs of data, GBs, gigabytes, terabytes of data, petabytes, exabytes, zettabytes, petabytes, zottabytes, right? From TB onwards, we say like it's a big data or a huge data, right? Should have seen like KBs of data, MBs of data, or GBs of data, or even TBs of data you should have seen, right? But do you think like the petabytes of data or exabytes of data, is it getting generated in the current real world? Okay, 1 petabyte equal to 1024 TBs. 1020 already 1 TB is a large storage unit. 1024 TBs makes 1 petabyte. Do you think like petabytes of data is it getting generated? Examples of petabytes of data generation, right? If you talk about like social media like Facebook, right? Millions and trillions of users for Facebook. It has got users throughout the world. In a minute, how many posts and videos are getting circulated? Each and every post need to be stored, right? What should be the storage capacity of Facebook for storing all these messages? Not only like Facebook, right? Today, if we talk about any application, like if I take 1 minute, right? If I take 1 minute transaction, Facebook, or if you talk like Twitter tweets keeps on generating, right? Like Google queries, what is the data generated by Google in a minute, right? Or if everyone creating your own videos and uploading in the YouTube, right? YouTube videos upload. What should be the storage capacity of this? And millions and trillions of users using email or Gmail messages, right? To what should be the storage capacity to store all these messages? Hmm. Bank transactions, telecom transactions, or if you talk like sites like e-commerce sites like Flipkart or Amazon, right? So everywhere we see like huge data, right? For this data, for huge data to handle them, to store them, and to process them, we have got some big data tools available, right? Big data like Hadoop technologies like Hadoop, Spark. So for huge data storage and for huge data processing, we go for Hadoop and Spark, very high speed processing, right? They're implemented using languages like Scala, languages like Python, right? Especially like Spark, which has got great boom today. Spark with Python, it's a like PySpark, right? Okay. So even within this big data, Python is preferred. Now I will list out one by one the other applications where Python is mostly used or preferred. So here Python also used within the scientific applications, right? For scientific application and for numerical analysis, like models like NumPy model, like CP model, mostly they are preferred. And apart from this, Python mostly used in GUI, graphical user interface or animation applications, right? And Python mostly used today in game development, in gaming applications and game development, right? Today, a lot of games are getting developed today by using Python, like single user, multi-user online games, especially for gaming or game development. Python providing a separate framework called Pygame. Pygame is a framework given by Python, especially for developing games. For developing games, right? Not only like Pygame, we have got like PyCore, right? This or Pygame, PyCore, or the frameworks given by Python for game development. Along from that, we have got some 3D rendering library available, like PySoy. Apart from this, Python is used for scheduling tasks. Right? We have got Airflow for it. Like game development, we have got frameworks for GUI or animation applications. For GUI, we have got some models like TK-inter, PyQt models, right? And so like Python is used for testing or test cases, right? And for software development, right? Python is preferred. Like software developers make use of Python as a support language. Okay. So we use like BuildBot, Apache Gump for automated compilation and testing, Roundup Track for project management and work tracking, right? So here, software developers make use of Python as its support language. And also like in business applications, Python is used within these business applications. Business applications, like Python is one of the greatest choice, right, to develop e-commerce systems. And we have got some Triton, a 3-tier high level general purpose. One second. And Python is also used, one of these hottest application of Python, like database applications. Within this database applications also, right, Python can connect with any database like MySQL, Oracle, PostgreSQL, right? And also with Python is used within these networking applications. Right? Okay. So especially for networking applications, right, it is providing a framework like Twisted Python, right? Python has got providing a framework called Twisted Python. Apart from this, Python can be used within this web scraping, right? Web scraping for scraping data or harvesting data from different websites. For audio and video applications, even Python is used within this creation of audio and video applications. The most well-known or famous audio video applications developed by using Python, like Team Player, C Play. Okay. And not only for these computer applications, like even for electronics, like embedded applications, Python is mostly preferred even for these embedded applications, like 3D CAD applications. For 3D CAD applications, right? Yes. Okay. The most well-known embedded application. Sorry, not here. For Raspberry Pi, the most well-known embedded application, right? Raspberry Pi, which uses Python for its computing, right? And it was just like even for this CAD or 3D CAD applications, right? For computer vision, right? For computer vision, for object detection, color detection, face detections, right? we use Python, and even within this robotics, Python is preferred, and in data analysis, so in this way, even in the creation of desktop applications, desktop applications, single user applications, console applications, right? Find it. So these are some of these applications where Python is mostly preferred. Web applications, in automations, in big data environment, in scheduling tasks, software development, in database applications, in networking, web scraping, in audio video. These are the various applications, right? Yes. Just I'll take 5-10 minutes more, right? And who are using Python today? Who are using Python? Who are using Python today, right? And topmost applications built by using Python. Who are using Python today? And the topmost application. Topmost applications built using Python. So just observe Google, right? Google uses Python for its web search systems. YouTube using Python for its video sharing service. Yahoo using Python, right? Uber. Uber using Python. Uber pricing algorithm implementation using Python, right? Instagram. Instagram was built by using Python. NASA using Python for its research and development activities because of this Python hybrid features, multi-feature support. Dropbox. We have got many applications built by using Python like Dropbox, Quora, Reddit, Pinterest. MMOG, massively multiplayer online games. MMOG, right? Maya, a powerful 3D animation, just like Photoshop Flash. Maya, a powerful 3D animation which uses Python scripting. BitTorrent using Python. For its file sharing service. iRobot for military and commercial applications, right? I run port email server which uses more than 1 million lines of Python code for doing its job and even for hardware testing. Companies like IBM, Seagate, Qualcomm, all this they use Python for hardware testing. Now, see if I talk like Google is one of the greatest example of Python web applications, right? So the Google first web crawling was first written in Java actually, and later it was so difficult that it was rewritten in Python. Even Netflix. Netflix using Python, right? Netflix is a classic example of a company choosing Python programming, right? So Netflix uses Python libraries such as NumPy, CP, right, for executing numerical analysis. Okay, Dropbox. Here I said like the Dropbox, right? It's a home for all your documents, files, photos, and videos, right? Dropbox was written in Python, right? Reddit, it is also a collection of some social news, right? Instagram, the prime reason for Instagram to opt for Python is its simplicity and its practicality, right? Simplicity and its practicality. Okay. So in this way, these are the topmost applications built by using Python. Okay, fine. So what are the course contents that I'm going to discuss or this as part of this course, right? You can just check this. So starting from the basic core to the advanced level with many modules, advanced modules I'll be discussing. I'll be discussing some models related to this data science, some models related to big data, some models related to operating systems, some models related to databases, some models related to regular expressions. In this way, different varieties of models I'll be discussing, covering during this course. So working with the models, you will be getting the idea right how to work with the models. Okay. So you can see this Python starting from this basic parts, basic history, applications, features, advantages, versions of Python, flavors of Python, Python operations, Python modes of executions, right? And Python variables, constants, input output statements, escapes, operators in Python, different types like arithmetic, comparison, logical assignment, bitwise operators, right? Python IDEs, in real time we use IDEs, right? Like PyCharm, PyDev, Komodo, Spider, Eclipse, NetBeans, Jupyter Notebook, Atom IDE, VS Code. So there are many IDEs. Why these many IDEs for Python? Python is used within this different environment. So for different environment, different IDs are preferred. For data science, Jupyter Notebook is mostly preferred. Spider ID also preferred. Even for big data, Spider is preferred. For typical web applications, PyCharm is preferred, mostly used. Later, I discuss the downloading process, installation process of this IDs, how to download step by step, and how to install it, and how to run the code on this different IDs, right? Fine. Flow control statements, looping statements, strings, collections in Python like list, tuple, sets, dictionaries, list indexing, list slicing, list properties, list functions, list methods, nested list addresses, modifying a list. In this way, different operations on list, tuples, sets, and dictionaries. Functions in Python, in brief about this Python functions. So different types of arguments, default, non-default, keyword, non-keyword, arbitrary arguments, different like different types of functions like lambda functions or anonymous function or lambda functions, filter functions, map functions, reduce functions, right? All the different types of functions in brief. Modules in Python, what is model, types of model, creating a whole model, different ways of importing, renaming, and reloading. Package in Python, errors and exceptions in Python, file handling, how to read and how to write data to the files, object-oriented programming concepts. In brief, class, object, inheritance, polymorphism, static, non-static, constructors, destructors, garbage collector, method overriding, right? Different types of inheritance, all this, right? Regular expressions, how to extract required data from the given data on this database access, right? I'll be showing you one database installation and also how to perform this by writing Python statements. Python data and time related and operating system related, right? Advanced concepts like iterator, generator, closer, and decorator concepts. Web scraping, working with Excel, XML files, CSV files, JSON files, right? GUI programming, right? GUI programming, and we got a TK inter module, right? CSV models, XML, working with CSV files. See, it's very important how you read data from the files, how you take input from the files, right? From Excel files, from CSV files, XML files, JSON files, right? And like working with the GUI model like TK inter model, Excel workbook, Excel workbook, right? How to work, how to create, and how to read, how to write for data analytics, like some models related in some data science introduction and this models related to data science, that too in brief, right? Pandas model, creation of data frames, and NumPy model and matplotlib model, right? These are the topics that are going to come, nearly some 30 topics, right? Yes. So totally 75 hours will be taking for this 2 to 2.5 months, right? 2.5 months. 75 hours, right? For in brief, in depth with more than 300 plus code examples, right? In brief, we'll be discussing. So you'll get command on this Python at the end of the course, Python. So some assignments and tasks also will be provided to work with, right? So you can get command by working with that and you can build your own code. So clear notes will be provided for the topics, and as every session is a video recorded one. You will be getting the video copy of it also. And to see more on this Python, today just we have an introduction, that it's a demo session. To see more on this, you can just attend the session tomorrow and day after tomorrow to see more on this and the comparison of Python with other programming languages, coding wise, features of Python, the other things, right? Tomorrow also same time, same link you can follow to see more on this Python. Say, so if you got any of the queries, right, you can just go with the queries.
Hi Vijay, thank you for the session.
Yeah, go ahead with the query. Any queries you have got?
Yeah, Vijay, currently I'm using Oracle database and SQL and PLSQL. So you said that Python is a compiler and interpreted language. So
Python is an interpretation language itself. Java is both compile and interpretation. Python is an interpretation language.
fine, yeah, fine. And so how Python will be integrated in my Oracle database and how it can be utilized within the database?
See, one thing, any application, web applications require database, right? Without database, there is no web application actually. Generally, like I'll write some Python statements, right? I'll execute it. Go and check in the database, table will be created in your database. I'll write some Python statements and execute it. Go and check in your table, data gets inserted. I can control all the things. I'll be using Python, right? Everything will be reflected in the database. So I will connect, Python is going to connect with the database from the creation of the table onwards, inserting or any operation you perform, right, by writing Python statements. Okay, by connecting to the database. So we have got module like the cx underscore oracle, cx underscore oracle model. This is the model for which Python can connect with database like Oracle. For especially for connecting with Oracle, we have got this module available. we will be exploring this model, right? So I said Python database connection PDBC will be discussing in brief in depth, right? How we perform these operations and even PL SQL kind of operations also we can perform, right? And all these various operations without entering into the database. I won't write directly opening the database and typing that SQL statements, not like that. By performing Python, writing Python statements, you can see the reflection within the database.
Perfect.
Even
But
even if you talk about the creation of web applications using Python, right? Whenever you are registration, whenever you are filling any form, registration form, those things, after entering all your details, whenever you click submit button, your details need to be stored within this database. So internally, Python. So Python is going to get process this and finally storing that details within this database.
Vijay, perfect. But using the Python script, it will be stored, data will be stored in the database. But using the SQL script also, we can do that operations, right? Why we need to use Python script here?
See, for example, a web page is there. A web page is there, right? Generally, you won't go and type that records in the database, right? In real-time use cases, directly you won't store some data within the databases by writing insert command. Whenever anything, for example, a form is filled, if you click the submit button, that any transaction happened, the data is going to store in the database. So if you are developing any applications, right? If you are filling any forms or you are filling the data, and if whenever you submit that data, right? Whenever you're submitting the data is getting stored within the database. But we won't write any SQL queries. But whenever you want to retrieve the data, you can perform, right, querying the data. But here with the Python, we will be writing the scripts. Writing the scripts only, right? Scripts means not SQL scripts. Python scripts will be writing, right? Within the Python scripts, by executing the scripts, you can see that the things or the creation of the tables, inserting, or what all the SQL operations, everything will happen, right, by writing Python statements. Means Python and Python connecting with the database and performing all those operations. So simply in a simple way, I can say without database, there is no web application. So where uh, who is going to store the data in the database? So we have got MVT architecture, right? Python follows MVT architecture: model, view, templates. In Java, we follow MVC architecture: model, view, controller, right? So here model means database, views means Python functional views or class views, templates means the technologies, web technologies, right? Like HTML, CSS, these things for creating a web pages. So web page, Python and database interaction going to happen, right? MVT, database, Python, and this web page, the interaction, right? So in the web page, whatever details you enter, Python is going to process and store within the database. And Python only is going to take the data from the database and going to display the data on the web page. Okay, MVT architecture we follow. Any other queries, right?
Yes, hi Vijay.
Yes, yes.
Can you explain how Python is in DevOps side?
Yeah. So yes, in DevOps and AWS, right? I was just saying Python is used in writing many automation scripts, right?
Yeah.
In
What the way that Python is greatly used in DevOps? Can you explain what are the automation that are done using by Python?
one second, one second.
Yeah.
So here Python not only within this DevOps or this AWS, right? It serves as a remedy to any problem in the IT industry. So if you are saying like if it comes to this DevOps, right? So the ultimate goal is to reduce the time taken in the DevOps life cycle, right? To improve the efficiency. So Python, if you talk about it, offers a solution, right? In time of automating the tasks in the stages of the DevOps lifecycle, right? If we talk about the stages like requirement gathering, system design, system implementation, system testing, system deployment, system maintenance, right? So here Python script is used, right? To write scripts for the improved development lifecycle. It provides structure to write structure and readable automation scripts, right? So in this way, Python scripting is mostly preferred, right? For improving the efficiency in the DevOps lifecycle, right?
This type of scripting are not in this lecture.
Pardon? Yes. So even for this, there are some models for this kind of AWS like Boto 3.
Okay.
There's a model called Boto 3, right? And
This also power.
no, actually this is not covered. Fine. But see one thing, people from different backgrounds, from testing, from networking, from data science, from big data, from different background, they'll come and update with Python, right? It doesn't mean that all those will be covered, right? Once, if you know about the modules, how to use it, how to work it, and how to you can get the help. There's a function called help function in Python. It is going to help you with the syntaxes, how to explore a module, right? So once you know that any module, if your domain specific models, you can just explore it, right? Already you will be having the domain knowledge on it, so that you can take what are the built-in functions available, and each function performs what activity, everything. You can just explore it, right? So people from different backgrounds, they can make use of their domain specific modules. For exploring and using it, you need to know, right, how to work with the modules, how to use it, uh, different ways of importing, right? Even for data science or big data, or for this IoT, or for this DevOps or AWS, right? We have got modules for this. So some models like advanced models I'll be discussing related to different domains, I said, right?
As you told that after learning the Python, it will be help to go to 3 also. There's no in critical subscripts that I can handle these things.
Okay, yes. So it doesn't mean that as Python used in all the environments, whatever I said, we won't be covering all the environments, right? Some environments, so that how it is used, how to work. Some I'm going to show you like how it is used within this. There's some models related to data science, some models related to database, some models related to big data, some models related to operating system, some models related to graphics. I'll be just discussing it, right? But it's also used in various other environments, but all those, okay, fine. But you need to know how it is used, how to work with it, how to explore with it. Once you know,
Basics would be
you can apply, right? Yes. Okay.
So for data science, I'm non-technical, so I'm not related to BTech guy. Uh, so you're going to teach from basics, or how it's going to be?
You have a mathematical background.
Oh, BSc science.
Okay, whatever it is. So we have got some models like NumPy model, Matplotlib model, Pandas models, right? We'll be
Okay.
discussing as part of the course in brief, in depth, right? About it
Okay.
step by step. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I want to move into the data science. So for data science, only separate syllabus. So you're going to teach, or so no, like for everyone, like
So
every base.
the prerequisite for data science is Python. Why?
Okay.
Because total coding goes in Python. Total everything we deal with Python, right? Implementation everything through Python.
Okay. Total how many days this coaching is going to be?
2 to 2.5 months it will be taking, right?
Yeah, okay. Anyway, thank you.
Yes, to see more on this, right, you can attend the sessions like tomorrow, day after tomorrow using the same link, right?
Hello.
Yeah, still any queries, right?
Yes, sir. Basically, we are
Vijay, one question, last question. So I'm using the database, Oracle database. So how, as you said that CX underscore Oracle module needs to be connect with the database, and then we need to write the programming, right?
Mhm.
Am I correct?
So
Correct
just
me if I'm wrong.
I will write some 4 lines of Python statements. I'll execute it. Go and check within the database table that whatever table you have specified gets created. Just I'll add 2 more lines to my Python code and I'll execute it. And you go and check in that table data gets inserted. Means everything I'm performing by using Python. Writing
Yeah.
without entering. Generally, what you do without entering into the database, I won't open the database. The database shell or writing that statements. I won't do all those. I will just work within this Python and execute those statements within the Python environment. All those reflections you can see in the database. I can write a Python program to drop a database table. I can write a Python program to insert a data into the table, modifying it, renaming it. All those can do with you writing Python statements itself, right?
If we need to do that operations, we need the database connectivity, right, Vijay?
Yes, definitely. Python, the module like CX underscore Oracle module is used, right?
CX underscore Oracle will be connected to main database, the whatever we are using that main database, right?
So Python connecting to the database, Oracle database using that module, right?
Mm. But here my doubt is unclear, Vijay. So we are already using the SQL script using the database manipulation, like insert and update and delete within the database. But why we need to use the Python language to do again these operations?
So see one thing in real time, once please be in mute. You can ask the queries and you can just go into mute, right, everyone? So in real time, you are not going to insert record directly in the database. Are you inserting a record by yourself in the database? It won't be inserted, right? Somewhere some application is going to insert into your database, right? So which
Right,
application? So
right, Vijay.
you won't write SQL query to insert in real time. You doing no, just for your SQL syntaxes you are using that commands, right? But in real time you won't use those commands or you queries, right? But
Mm.
everything should happen by application doing it. So here our Python applications will be doing those things. So for that Python and connection of the database, without database there is no application, web applications, right? So any web applications require this database, and how it is going to connect we'll be discussing. How this connection happens and how we are going to perform those operations. Yeah, any other queries, right?
Sir, what is the difference between core and advanced Python?
See, there is no concept of having core and advanced. There is only Python. There is
Yeah.
no core Python, no advanced Python. That are the names given by some of the right institutes like
Mhm.
Python core, Python advanced. There is no concept of Python core, Python advanced, or that. Okay. So it's only Python. It's a Python is a programming language. Basic and basic concepts we call it basic Python or core Python. Advanced concepts we say, but there is no like core advanced.
Okay.
Some of the institutes they say like a Python core programming, advanced programming, like to increase the modules, right? But only we say Python language. Python is a programming language. So
hello.
yes.
Yes, sir. Basically, we are from the industrial automation. We here I covered a skill database function, Excel, networking program,
Yes, I'll be, as I said, I'll be covering this data. You was talking about database connectivity, right? Python database connectivity.
Database connectivity.
Yeah, database connectivity. I'll be discussing multiple examples, how to perform transaction management, how to perform these various operations, right? So or if you perform any transaction, right? So generally, you have asked a query, right? Okay, how this, in what way? If you're making a transaction, right? Online transaction, enter source account, enter destination account, or transfer. Whenever you click that, it's happening, right? The reflection, everything will be seeing in the database, right? Source, enter source account number, enter destination account number, enter the transfer amount. Once you enter those, once the transaction happens, right? The reflections also should be seen in the database, right? So I'll be writing Python statements or Python coding, Python application for these things.
So that is socket communications also program.
Socket program, yes, we have got models, I said, and even we have got framework for network programming, right? Listed Python, right? Yes.
The topics also covered as
The topic is not part of our syllabus, right? But you will be learning like how to work with the different varieties of models. Even the same thing you can apply in your networking related models also. How to get help on any module and how to dig into that module and how to use the functionalities within the module. You will be learning in this course. I'm not any module, whatever domain you are from, how to use it, how to get the help on it, how to get one by one help on each and one by one functionality within that module, that you will be learning it.
So, for example, we are missing the class. What to do? Class video is in progress.
Pardon, raise your voice, please. It's too low.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, yes.
Sir, for example, I'm missing the class. That time, any recording section.
Yes. Every day you will be getting the recorded session, right? To your Google Drive. So even if you are missing because of some ill health or because of some office work, if you have missed the sessions, recorded sessions you'll be getting daily. You'll be getting the recorded session that day itself.
Video, how many days, sir?
Validity will be for
Provided notes also, no, sir?
validity will be for 6 months. The videos validity will be for 6 months. Clear notes will be provided, right?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
For all this, clear notes will be you will be getting to your mail IDs every alternate days. You will be getting the notes.
After demo class, no, sir?
Yes, once the demo sessions completes, once everyone got enrolled and once get registered, right, you will be getting the notes on the daily basis.
Okay, sir.
And the sessions will be interactive sessions, right? So everybody will be kept in unmuted status. At any point of time, you can ask a query, you can interact, and for each and every statement what I'm typing, you will be giving response, right? What is the expected output? So how to build the Python code, how to work with the models in Python. Python has got a great boom because of this models concept for various domains, right? So just like sessions will be interactive. As it's a demo session, we have some less interaction, but once we enter into this practical part, right, there is nothing theoretical here, everything practical I'll be showing you, right? So you'll be responding what with the expected results and outputs, right? Yes. Fine. So still, yes, if I'm done with your queries, if there are no other queries, then I will sign off for today. Meet you tomorrow, same time at 6 o'clock, right? So that the session will be from 6 to 7 daily up to the end of this course, right? And we'll see more on this Python tomorrow and after tomorrow, right? Everyone can attend the session using the same link, same time. Okay. So thank you all for your time for attending
Thank
the
you,
session.
sir.
Thank you. Right.